Hey, Sox fans, welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back, episode 229. I am Nick Murawski. This is a fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast. Find the podcast absolutely everywhere. We try to do this live on our YouTube channel on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. You can subscribe to that channel, catch up on previous episodes, or join us in real time and provide us with comments and anger and vile and all of the stuff that you're feeling after this weekend. We got a lot to get to. My man, Pat Hester, is back. Known Pat for such a long time. And this is tough. But it's good to go through this with friends, with people that you trust. So welcome back, Pat. Let's talk some White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, we could go a lot of different directions. We could go happy anniversary, Mark Burley, perfect game, 14-year anniversary today. Congratulations to Mark Burley. Or, Nick, it's a big week. It's Shark Week. I mean, where else could we go? But let's talk
Jeff
Sharks.
Samardzija week, yeah.
Yeah, so either way you want to take it, I'm ready to roll, brother.
Sure. You know, I mean, the Mark Burley stuff is it's just, I think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame eventually. I really do. It's going to take some time. It's going to take maybe a different crop of voters, maybe, that understand what he did and his durability. And, you know, I think when you really put him under a microscope, but yeah, that perfect game. Alexei, that the day after, I went with a group of friends and my brothers to Detroit to see the White Sox play Detroit. And that game happened, and then we all drove to Detroit, and we were on cloud nine, and we were, you know, at the bar, just, you know, this is unbelievable. The highlights nonstop of the White Sox and Mark Burley. And then I'm pretty sure Justin Verlander and the Tigers just ate our lunch the entire weekend, and it was just a miserable weekend. But my brother Josh was at that game.
Wow.
And really, really interesting. Like, my brother Josh was at that Mark Burley perfect game. My brother John was at the Mark Burley no-hitter, and I saw the Carlos Rodon no-hitter. So 3 Murawski brothers all saw a no-hitter / a perfect game in different situations. We weren't all together. Isn't that odd?
Well, if only the 3 of you could go to more games, maybe we'd have.
I know, that is really the problem.
Something.
That is, we really have something. If we could just get this all together for extended period of time.
You can't go at the same time. I mean, you'd have to go on separate occasions, but there's 81 games and there's 3 of you. You can divide it up. I'm sure you can figure that out.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
You guys aren't
I'm
busy.
sure next season, you know, that we're already getting the emails to, you know, give us, give your money to the White Sox.
Have you re-upped? Have you re-upped and invested more?
I have gotten the email about the 2024 plans, as I'm sure a lot of Sox fans have. We know what the schedule looks like for 2024. And it's just a matter of time before my rep, who I absolutely love, he's a great rep, I get an invoice, you know, like, this is how it goes, you know, like by the end of September or October, maybe it's your first payment. Maybe it's November. I don't know. It tends to change. And there's different payment plans. Look, as of right now, Pat, I want to say yes. You know, I might switch the plan a little bit, the season ticket plan, but I'm really, though, struggling because in previous years it was just, here you go, you know, here you go, here's my money. Yes, Sydney, great comment. Season ticket holders recently got a postcard in the mail. I think almost everybody did, just thanking you for being a season ticket holder. And there was a little pin, and it gave you your years as a season ticket holder. My years, the pin was 4 years off for me. I have heard of some other fans that had years like 12 years off. I mean, this was a big thing on social media. Everybody seemed to have a different pin. The Sox, of course, couldn't get this thing right. So I get an email a few days later saying, you know, we recognize the situation. We screwed up the years on people's pins. So we're going to fix this. Expect a new pin in 6 to 8 weeks. That's how long it's going to take for this mom and pop organization to figure out where we went wrong and where everybody needs their correct pins. Why don't you just tell me how many years you've been a Sox season ticket holder?
Just write them down on a piece of paper. Just write down on the postcard, send it back. Was it like it was like 2011, 2012? Is that how it was, or number of years like you've been, 5 years? What do you mean by
number of years? Yeah, it didn't have
Okay.
all your the dates, but it was Sydney's 2 years equals 10. Yeah. I had people that were like, they're congratulating me on 15 years. I've only been a ticket holder for 3 years.
They're banking on it then. They're banking on another 13
right.
years or whatever. Right. Yeah.
No, it just gave the number. And so it's just a classic situation, right? With the White Sox this year. It's like, if you can't get someone's pin correct, how am I going to expect you to hire the right manager or do anything correct with this organization? So I honestly don't know, Pat. I'm a little like, I kind of want to know the direction. Where are we going here? What's going on? Is there accountability? Will there be accountability? And I'm never going to give up on the Sox. It's just, we've talked about this on this podcast. Like I have no like second like B team that I'm going to go run to and follow. Like, this is my team. It'll forever be my team. But how much time and money do you really invest? That's the question. It's like, they don't deserve it right now. They absolutely don't deserve the money. And there should be fire Hahn signs and fire Williams and sell the team. All that should be going on these next, 60 games or whatever we've got left.
Well, and that's the thing, Nick. You're right at this point right now. You're not ready to invest. Obviously, you're a guy that has to work and try and sell you on the fact that you should buy now because they want that security. They want that money in their coffers, and I understand that. I get it. I'm in sales. I've been in sales for a long time. I understand why they want to push that. But you as the buyer, what is the sense of urgency that you have to get it invested in now? Yeah. Why can't you wait? You can wait until God knows when. So for me, I'm with you. I would wait until you see what the winter looks like. And if you go off the past couple of winters that we've had, I don't know that you would expect anything to happen. I mean, really, we wait for things to happen at trade. Trades never materialize. The market was never set correctly by you or everybody else jumped the gun. Where other teams are paying $280 million for a shortstops at bat 233. All these other excuses and things that come up. Why would you invest your dollars right now? I'm not saying you won't, because I know you will. Eventually, you'll probably get some sort of a package of.
They'll tease the bobblehead.
I know
giveaways.
Oh yes, you're going to be like, oh, but that Hawaiian shirt night, I might miss out on that. So that's what they're going to get you. Or they'll say, Nick, we'll do an Elvis night. We'll do 2 Elvis nights.
You could be the Elvis. You could throw out the first pitch as Elvis.
Mr. Elvis. Yes. Yeah. So you're getting back in, but I wouldn't do anything right now, and I would tell your rep that, and I'm sure they hear it all the time. It's like, listen, man. And they don't. There's no way that they give any feedback back to the front office. They've got an answer to a sales manager who's not giving any kind of feedback up the ladder. But they have to say, well, why isn't Nick Murawski investing right now? And you would simply say, quite frankly, he wants to see what we're planning on doing this winter. Are we tearing this down to the studs again? Is he going to have to endure another 4 to 5 years of a rebuild? Or the other option is throw money at the problem. And this organization doesn't do that. And when they have thrown money at the problem, they do it, not responsibly. And it doesn't seem to work for them. So I don't blame you. I'd wait as long as humanly possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to wait right now. Of course, if they told me, hey, you got to have your money in by August 1st or September 1st, I'd be like, hell no. Sorry. No way. You got to let me see how this is going to play out. I need to see some accountability. There absolutely has to be. Greg said, according to pin math, Sox are 37 games out of first. Or on the other way, the Sox are a game back. They're just a game back, depending on
in the
how
hunt.
You want to look at it.
According to Sox math, there'd be the graphic like there is in football, where it'd be in the playoffs, or the playoffs started today, and the Sox in the hunt at 19 games under 500.
19 games under 500. Our White Sox, the Southsiders, 41-60, folks. 41-60. They're 12 games out of the AL Central. They were just swept by the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota. As Pedro Grifol said many times this past weekend, bad baseball. I've got a really interesting quote from him and some other things that happened with Oscar Colas, and I want to get into maybe a little bit of the New York Mets series. Sox are obviously sellers. They absolutely have to be. Are there any untouchables? Getting your thoughts on that and the trade scenarios and where, Gio and Lynn and TA and, and who else, possibly, could be on their way. And then we've got this Cubs series, this mini little 2-game Cubs series that, remember, Pat, like when you and I were in early 20s and we were just, I blacked out. I've missed so much White Sox action in my 20s just from being blacked out. Then it's sad to say, but that's where I was in my early 20s of just I would just miss large chunks of the game because I was just a madman. But those Cubs Sox series, man, that is when things were really wild, and they were always weekend series, and they were always 3-game series, and they were absolutely intense and nuts. And now you've got them like hidden in the week in these 2-game series. So
yeah,
Well,
if you remember, I don't know if you and I may have not been as close of friends because I think they started doing crosstown or playing interleague. I think in '97. So that would have been before you and I would have met each other. But I remember going to Ticketmaster in the mall and waiting in line and getting a lottery. You'd like who's going to be first in line. You'd do a lottery, and we'd buy Cubs Sox tickets right there, and it was like Christmas morning. It was like, oh, we've got the
golden ticket.
And I don't think that. I don't remember how many times I've done that, but that was like my first memory of Cubs Sox because it was a new thing. The Cubs and Sox are playing games that actually mean something. It's 6 games, and I would go on both sides of town, not very often on the north side because I'm not allowed in that ballpark anymore. But that's beside the point. And it was something. It was fun, and it was something that there was civic pride on the line, in terms of what side of town you root for, and it was cool. It doesn't feel like I'm not juiced for this.
No,
these games. No. Are you?
I'm not. I'm absolutely not. Cubs are what 3-4 games under 500, 6.5 back, and they were the ticket for me. It was like if somebody had a bunch of tickets, it was like, give me the Cubs Sox games for sure. Those are the ones I want because both teams were pretty bad, and this was absolute pride and bragging rights, and you had friends and coworkers and classmates and all that kind of stuff. It was like, hey, if we're both going to be bad this season, I want to make sure we beat the Cubs, and I still want to absolutely beat them. I've got no time for them. I'm not rooting for them in any way. I'm not just a Chicago baseball fan. Absolutely not. That's just how I am. I'm not saying that that's wrong or not. And so I absolutely want to, scrub them. But it doesn't have the same kind of, zip for me, especially when you jam it in the middle of the week like this and it's a 2-game series.
Yeah, Major League Baseball's really screwed this up for Chicago anyway. I don't know what it's like in other cities out in the Bay Area or in New York or in other towns, maybe in Texas, with the Astros and the Rangers. But they're both in the American League, so that doesn't make any difference anymore. They're playing each other a bunch anyway. Who knows? I mean, it just seems like it used to be like in LA. It's like Angels and Dodgers. They're playing 6 games, and that's how it was. Here it was 6 games, 3-3, and they just made a way for it to happen in the schedule. Now it's like, well, we're not going to worry about that. And it's unfortunate they do that. So if they don't care enough to try and keep cool things in baseball cool for the fans, then I'm not going to invest much time or thought into this week, honestly. And quite frankly, and I've got to apologize to you and all the listeners, I've almost checked out on the season, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll check in, and it's a lot of because of my son, because he's a fanatic. He's like, Dad, what's the score of the game? Let's turn the game on. So I'm watching it with him, but I don't care. Watching the end of the game today, and they go into extra innings. And I looked at him, I said, Gav, boy, this ain't going to happen. We're going to, but yeah, they're the road team today in extras. Maybe we'll do better when we're the road team in extra innings. I said, that sounds like a 7-year-old thought there. So yeah, we'll go with it. Maybe they will play better in extras on the road, but it's just not going to happen. I could, I'd have bet $1 billion if they would have lost today's game. And they're inventing new ways to lose, Nick. Oscar Cole is falling down and to make a catch that there should be no reason anybody's tagging up on. So anyway, I don't want to go off on a rant on that. This week, though, I don't really have a lot invested in it. And in terms of untouchables, you brought it up, because this team will be sellers eventually. I don't think this team doesn't have the luxury of having people that are untouchable. But again, it depends on what direction you want to go, in my opinion. If you're talking about a full-blown blow it up, tear down, then nobody should be untouchable. If you want to trade Cease, get as much back for him as possible. If you're not planning on winning for the next 3 to 5 years, then trade him and get everything you can. Same with Luis Robert Jr. I hate to say it. I love the star that he's become, right? And he's the guy that we've been waiting for. But he's also the guy that's been often injured, right? Previous to this year, and it wasn't available enough to be an all-star or a star player. So if there's something you can get for him that's going to change your organization for the next 10 years, then maybe you do it. But if you're looking at it and going, we're going to have to spend in the offseason, we're going to have to buy pieces, and we want to be competitive again next year, then there's cornerstone pieces that you need to keep. And Luis Robert Jr. is one of them, and Dylan Cease is one of them. And but the rest, the rest are for sale, in my opinion.
Yeah, the recipe or the formula, whatever you want to say, that we thought we were experiencing in 2016 and in 2017 of, oh, this is how you do it. You get rid of these guys and you acquire these players and you have these high draft picks, and this is what you pick and this is what you go after. And you play the international market this way. Here you go. And it was like, okay, that seemed pretty easy. You figured it out, Rick Hahn. Of course, they never had the capstone moments where they actually made the big splash. They spent the premium money on premium talent. Again, how they allot money, that is key. Okay, money has been spent, but how it was allotted, that is a big issue. That's where they completely screwed up and continue to screw up. And obviously, the talent just didn't hit. The managerial decisions were just goofy beyond just my comprehension. And we could probably get into Grifol in just a few moments here and what he is talking about now and how he's handling things. But again, at the end of the day, always, it's in anybody you talk to, Pat, wherever you go, vacation, different cities, same, and you meet another Sox fan and you have these conversations with people, right? And you want to talk about, well, they're sellers and this is who they could sell and this, that, and you always come back around to, but look who's making the decisions again.
Mm-hmm.
Really, Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, they can't be making the decisions. I don't trust them. And, wait till Jerry sells, then things are going to be better. And that's where you have to settle on. And we don't have any other choice. Rick Hahn is going to be making these decisions. Kenny Williams, I'm sure, will be involved with Jerry Reinsdorf. And we just have to sit back and take it, honestly, as Sox fans here this time around. And I don't have any faith that it's going to go any better, So ask me to invest in this right now. Ask me to put my money in to what I'm assuming is going to happen. I won't right now. I played that game back in 2017 at Sox Fest. And I heard Ricky Renteria speak. And I heard, with the grand plans. And we all know what happened with the Chris Sale trade. And this team's going to be a beast. It's going to be a monster. There's no guarantees. I need to get a better idea of what the plan is for this White Sox team before I really invest again.
So okay, now I'm going to play your sales rep. Okay, and
sure.
Nick, it's only going to be like a hostage situation. You have 3 demands, right? And then you're gonna plump down your hard-earned dollars. Okay, so what are your 3 demands that you would have if to reinvest in this team again for a season ticket plan?
Well, one demand is that in the off season, I want to see a 9-figure contract spent and I want them to invest on, a premium talent. And I'm leaning towards pitcher. Now, I don't know what's out there in the free agent world in terms of arms just yet. I haven't done a deep dive. You need to invest in starting pitching. You need to make serious investments in starting pitching. Is that a contract extension to Dylan Cease? If he's still around, I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to be able to acquire Dylan Cease. I really don't at the trade deadline. I think there'll be offers, but I think the Sox hold on to him. So then I don't even know if the Sox are going to be able to sign Dylan Cease with Boris as his client. But that's one thing I would say is I need to see an investment somehow in starting pitching, a serious investment in premium starting pitching. And then I would say, you got to fill holes. I need some proven talent at the legitimate holes that we always have. And that one of them is second base. I mean, who is your second baseman that you're really comfortable with in 2024? I've got ideas of who it can be. Maybe it's Lenine Sosa. Is that really what we're going to go with? But Pat, if they make all of these trades and they slash this team, well, then you're not winning in 2024. So are you really then going to invest the money, to shore up question marks?
Yeah,
I need to see a proven direction, and I honestly, I would say Hahn has to be fired. I don't think Kenny Williams will ever leave. I think he is just hitched to Jerry Reinsdorf. I think they're always going to be together. I got to see Hahn gone. And you've got to hire a smart baseball mind from a winning organization, not the Kansas City Royals.
No.
Okay.
Why not? Why not Kansas City?
Get rid of Hahn, hire someone very smart to be running baseball, and invest in pitching. I mean, those are my three. If you're going to give me,
so if Kenny would, because supposedly, Honda's report to Kenny and whatever their structure that they have, does that give you any kind of, I don't know, does that give you any kind of confidence or feel a little bit better about Kenny Williams? Like, okay, Kenny finally realized that this is something that has to be done, or is it not ultimately Kenny's call anyway because Jerry makes the final decision?
I still don't know what Kenny Williams truly does.
Yeah.
I think he's just, he's a bit of a mouthpiece. He's there as a buffer maybe between, Hahn and Jerry. You gave me only three. If I had five, there would be a lot of other demands that I probably would make, and I'd probably clean house of Williams as well. And, I don't want to see Chris Getz thrown into that position in general manager. I want to see someone from the outside organization. And I almost want to get a guarantee of, you'll be listening to how baseball is supposed to be done, how organizations are supposed to be run.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to further grow, this organization that way accordingly. Not just somebody that's going to do your bidding, as I'm assuming Jerry wants, and why would he go a different direction? These are things that have just been boiling, and now that's just kind of boiling over.
So no, like helicopter filled with beef sandwiches or anything like that, like any kind of crazy demands.
No, what was it? Airheads? Was that the movie where Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler were making all of those crazy demands way back when? I don't think I've got any of those crazy ones.
Wow, I didn't think I'd hear an Airheads.
I know, you never know what to expect here. Pedro Grifol, I think, and if Hahn goes.
Speaking of Airheads,
yeah. If Hahn goes, then I think Pedro Grifol goes, and my man Pedro Grifol, I just don't think he knows what is going on right now. And I don't know how he doesn't know how to stop it. He doesn't know what to say. Anything he does say gets put under a microscope, as it should. And this is what he said after the Twins, this sweep here on Sunday. This one really hurts, Grifol said. 3-0 lead in the ninth against these guys. This one stings a little bit. If you dissect this game, we had a lot more opportunities than they did to put this game away. We've got to find a way to have that killer mentality to where we're going to put people away, put teams away. We're in late July. You should have been working on that a long time ago. You said you were going to be working on it in the off season and in Arizona. You said all the right things, right? Said anything that we wanted to hear to get on your side. Said anything that you possibly could say to get this job, this first managerial job. Yes, you want me to pitch this front office? I will say this. I will say whatever you want because I want this gig. And stings just a little bit here. I need him to lose it. I just need Grifol to just absolutely go off and lose it now. We're due for one of these. He has just got to explode. I need to have that. And maybe he's playing the long game. He's like, I want to have a future job, in baseball. I don't know. But, this killer mentality that he's talking about, what's the point now?
Yeah.
You're 19 games under and you're 12 games out. This team is in no way progressing. They're regressing, and they have been for a while.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, Nick, as we, again, looking at last year compared to this year. And it's funny you say how much better last year was. When you think about it, I mean, it was, with all the craziness that was going on with the manager last year, the decisions that were made, the underperformance, the injuries, all that crap that we went through last year. It was, I hate to say it, almost head and shoulders better than this year at 19 games under. I'm pining for a 500 season again. It's crazy. Pedro, maybe he's like, well, this is who I am. I have to continue to be constant. I can't be this erratic up and down, bipolar type of personality, one way or another. But I'm with you. It'd be nice to just say, listen, guys, media people. These players don't play hard. They don't know how to play good defense. We have tried very hard to get them to play the way that they need to play to win baseball games. It's not resonating with them. So I'll take a little bit of that I'll take a lot of that blame on me for not preparing them properly in spring training to get them ready for this season. So that's on me. But at some point, these guys are professionals, and we need them to act like professionals and go out there and win games because of their abilities. And we can't handhold them through the entire game. We can't hold these guys to stay upright when making a catch. We can't hold their hands and make sure that they don't drop a ball when trying to throw a guy out at third. It's unbelievable how this team continues to shoot themselves in the foot. And again, I would look at it, if I was a team playing the Chicago White Sox, I would look at my guys and say, listen, even if we're on our worst day, even if 9 guys are out with pink eye, apparently there's nobody left on the bench. Their catcher got hit in the throat today on a foul tip. There was nobody left to catch. Guys, if we can just hang around, we can win this game as long as we put the ball in play. Because eventually this team will step on themselves. And we just have to wait for that moment for them to step on themselves, and they'll hand this game over to us, delivered in a nice, neat package. And we don't have to work that hard. Just keep it close. We may not beat them if they hit 3 or 4 or 5 home runs, but if we're on our worst day, they'll probably end up handing it to us. So that's what I would preach to it. Just put the ball in play and let them put the pressure on them to make routine baseball plays, and they won't most of the time.
It's amazing how often that happens, where another team, just all they have to do is put the ball in play. Just put it in play, and hilarity ensues from our White Sox. I feel like it happens every single series. There are moments where that's really all you need to do, especially when you've got runners in scoring position. You execute by just simply putting the ball in play. Make the White Sox defense figure it out. And, more times than not, they just don't know where they should be covering. They don't know where the ball is going to be thrown. Someone's trying to do too much. And, there's an error. Somebody falls. They collide. It is really, we were sold something so different. And again, this just goes back to, that's great. That's great lip service. You're going to be, fundamentally sound. You're going to be preparing to kick the opponent's ass. That's great. That's wonderful. Prove it. Show me. Do it on the field. When it comes down to it, in between the lines, I want to see it. Okay. And that's, again, like, I got too caught up in, new season, new attitude, new coaching staff for the most part. guys could be bouncing back, getting healthy. It's a winnable division. And here's a guy, a smart baseball guy with a lifelong baseball resume, hungry to show what he can do as a manager. And, he just looks lost. And, it's maybe he is a good manager down the road. I don't know. But this is, again, why you don't put a first-time manager into a position when you feel like your team really has the talent to be in contention. If you feel, go ahead.
Maybe that was telling from the beginning then, Nick.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Maybe this front office realized that this team just doesn't have it, and there's no reason to invest in a manager that's going to be, something legit, because we kind of know. And maybe that's why no moves were really done in the offseason. Maybe that's why there was no Sox Fest, because secretly behind closed doors and parties where, you don't want to talk about. I don't know how the line goes from A Few Good Men, but
good effort,
I screwed it up. I totally screwed it up. It's been a long week, dude. So maybe they just talked to themselves. They got in the three of them sat down and they had a cigar and they just said, listen, we don't have it. So we're not going to spend any money. There's no reason to put out a Sox Fest because there's nothing exciting we're going to do this winter anyway. And we might as well go on the cheap on getting a manager from the Royals. And we can sell that as a first time, great organization, baseball man, all that crap that you just spit out. And maybe we'll just get lightning in a bottle from this team and we can win this weak division. But I know it, the American people know it, that we're not going to be doing anything with this group. And we're going to be sellers probably at the deadline. And they were right.
Yeah, it does feel like it. I was questioning it way back when, I remember having Locked On White Sox episodes where I was like, really? This is what you're going with? Okay. I'll buy what you're selling me. But then I also have permission to throw this right back in your face when it doesn't work. Cause it looked like, you could see it. You can go back and you can retrace the steps of what they did. And it made sense. It really did. Oscar Colas is back up with the White Sox and he's been playing right field and trying to hit. And, he's scuffling. He's struggling, as he absolutely should. We all knew he was going to. We were all drinking the Kool-Aid, at least I was, on Oscar Colas in the offseason and what he brings to the table. And you're going to love this guy. And we're really excited about him as a future right fielder. He had a nice spring in Cactus League play. He started with the club, and then he had problems, as rookies tend to do. Okay, very few come right out and shine. Sent down, basically made to prove it. He was crushing the ball, and he was brought back up. And during that scuffling period at the beginning of the year, nobody was hitting. This team started 7-21, and his scuffling, I think, was magnified. It's like, well, what's going on with our Oscar Colas? He's not supposed to be the one carrying this White Sox team. There's 5 or 6 other guys. What are they doing? Why are they underperforming still? Why are they struggling? Okay. And unfortunately, I think Oscar Colas is like, well, we gotta, somebody has got to pay for this. So you're being sent down. So he's brought up, and this is what Pedro Grifol said recently. He did not start in game 1 against the Twins. Zach Remillard did. And this is Grifol. We have to dial down on the intensity level, said Grifol, who started Zach Remillard in right field against righty Joe Ryan to allow Colas to sit back, gather during the opening game of the series. This might sound a little weird, but he plays the game at a 10 volume. We need him to make it at an 8. A 10 makes him a little reckless, especially at the plate. And then he went on to use a boombox reference, which is, I think, really something that's going to catch on with the youth of the White Sox, not only fan base, but also the ball club. And how this whole 8-10 volume, and, you can even throw a Spinal Tap joke in there if you'd want. I have a lot of follow-up questions. I think what Grifol is trying to say is that maybe he's a little, out of sorts. He's a little too wild. He's not in control. A 10 he is just everywhere. And we need him to be. But Pat, my thing is, let him do that. You're 19 games under. I mean, you were 17, right, when the season or the series started. What do you have to lose? Let him figure it out. Let him make some mistakes, instead of putting this out there in the media and kind of scolding him like you need to be more of an 8, not a 10. Well, what do you think this is? We're 12 games out here. We think we might really be able to chip away at this thing and be 8 games out by the time it's said and done. Let the man just play and figure it out. Somebody should put their arm around him like Robert and say, Colas, Oscar, this year is going to be tough, man. If you didn't already know it already, you are going to have some problems. You're going to scuffle. You're supposed to scuffle. Figure it out. We'll learn from this in the off season. That's where I'm at with this whole thing.
Yeah, telling a player, I don't agree with telling someone that their level that you're coming to the ball park with is too high. Right. I guess I could understand. Maybe I could understand a little bit, like if you're too overhyped and it's clouds what you do. It's really strange, and it's a strange reference. Although the 90s, a lot of stuff from the 90s are coming back, Nick, fashion.
There's a 90s night at the ballpark.
There's a 90s night. Sure. Yeah, maybe that's what he was trying to promote. He was trying to plug 90s night.
Brooks Boyer's like, if you could sneak in Boombox and some of your quotes, that would really help us out.
Oh, man, we could turn that around. 90s night. We're going to bring it up to a 10 like Oscar Colas. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. First of all, I don't know what to think about Oscar Colas. It's a shame that a lot was put on him because, again, the organization, you talked about positions that remain unfilled. Second base and right field have remained unfilled for a long time. And instead of going out and actually getting a right fielder to play every day and maybe bring this guy along, more at an 8 pace, you decided to throw him in, and this was your only option. And I don't know I don't remember who he was fighting with for right field at the time. Nick, do you? I mean, was there another option? Because I know we were talking about it. I know leading
Victor
into the
Reyes
season.
in camp. Billy Hamilton, of course, the bullish one, Gavin Sheets. Which, boy, you just can't get away from Gavin Sheets. You got to have a Gavin Sheets. Got to have him around. I think those were the guys. Romy Gonzalez. Remember, Mr. Romy Gonzalez, who can play absolutely everywhere, who kind of changed the season for a game or maybe 2, and then got hurt. At this point, it's like play the youth. Like, why is Elvis Andrus playing anymore?
Yeah.
Just, I guess, get Lenine Sosa up. Like, what do we have with this guy? Can we figure out what we have with this guy? That's why just let Oscar Colas do what he needs to do. Coach him, sure, but don't sit there and scold him and shame him publicly. I feel like there's better ways to do it.
There are no perfect managers by any means, but this was probably one he'd like to have back. Probably an error manager you could write down in the scorebook if you wanted to. So who knows, Nick? Who knows what the rest of the season will bring? Who knows how it'll all play out? But I agree with you. It's like at some point you just got to throw up your hands and say, we're going to give guys opportunities here. I know it's usually, that's more towards the late August and September time frame when you do that kind of stuff, but you might as well get a jump start on next season and figure out what you have with some guys, call some guys up. And I'm with you. Why is Elvis Andrus still here? Right? Why is he still on this team? What purpose does he serve? He's definitely not a second baseman. I mean, I've seen him.
He could be dealt. I mean, someone might want a veteran presence, a veteran utility guy that can shore up.
Is he really a utility guy? It doesn't seem like he can play much other than short. I mean,
short and second, and second he really even shouldn't be playing.
He shouldn't.
So everyone loves a good veteran off the bench that can provide some sage wisdom of when his Texas Rangers were in a hole for a couple months. And
gather around, everyone.
Yeah, I've got a story to tell you about my Rangers teams from a while back and how we hung in there. And I will tell you that we did have a boombox in that clubhouse, and boy, we had it always at a 10. Like I need guys to be playing at a 10. I need more guys to play at a 10. What if more guys actually showed up and had that energy and excitement and that aggression and that lust for life, that desire to play. I don't know.
Do you
I know
look back at April and just go, that's when the season was lost? Just right there in that 10-game losing streak, and the team just packed it in at that point, it seems like.
The thing that Grifol really sold me on was you can't, win a pennant in April and May, but you can lose a pennant in April, May. And we are going to treat every game with urgency. We're going to play with urgency. We're not going to be passive. We're not going to be doing workload management to rest, to play the long game. We are out there to win every night and make hay, really, at the beginning of the season. And sure, when you go 7-21, and that absolutely sealed it. I just felt like they were not prepared. They were not prepared for the opposition. They didn't have game plans. Like I felt like some of the stuff that maybe they talked about in the offseason with, taking pitches and plate discipline and getting on base and, none of that was going on. It still is not happening. Elevating the ball, they started putting screens like L screens or something in the infield so guys could practice trying to, elevate the baseball. I'm sorry, maybe I'm dumb to this, but isn't that something that should have been happening already? Like how to elevate the baseball, like gather around everyone. Like this is how we try to hit an uppercut. Like,
I see what you're
I see
saying
what
here.
you want me to do
up.
there.
Oh, you want the ball up. Got it.
So yeah, I think April and May, absolutely, but the problem was this division was so forgiving. So you were still in it.
Yeah.
And honestly, maybe 3 weeks ago, you were 4 games out, 5 games out. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Now, if you looked at, all of the other metrics, I mean, bottom of the league and most of offensive categories and what their record was. And you're just like, well, it doesn't matter about how many games you're back. But, we remember when we were having this conversation of, do you just go for it at the deadline because you could win this division and you're somewhat close, and just get in, man, just get into the tournament. And even at that was a bit of a push, but now it's,
but a lot of it, Nick, goes back to, what we've talked about, I think a couple of weeks ago when I wasn't off on vacation, and it was like, what does this team do well? If there was one area in which they were excelled in, at least you could bank on that every day. And you can say, we can rely on this to win us some ball games. We can rely on us being a fantastic fielding team. Right. And maybe we don't get on base a lot. Maybe we don't hit a lot of home runs. Maybe we don't score a lot. But I'll tell you what, we're going to defend it. And we're not going to be the best team in the league, but we should be good enough to win this division just based on how fantastic our defense is, or our starting pitching, or, you pick a category. But there's just nothing that you can look at and go, right now we don't have enough healthy starting pitching. So you can't even say that anymore. That was a case at one point with our starting pitching. And now it's just, you don't have enough healthy arms to say that anymore. So they've got to figure out what their identity is this offseason, Nick, and say, you know what, we've got to just pick one thing that we want to be fantastic at. And that's what White Sox baseball is going to be. It's going to be this. If it's winning ugly again, then it's winning ugly again. So be it. But it's got to be, we're going to go to the ballpark every day and we're going to show the other team that, man, they're going to have a tough time in the batter's box, because we just got guys that are going to just be, beasts on the mound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I look at things that are absolutely attainable. And, I don't think you can just say to somebody, hit more home runs, please. Like I need a better launch angle and better results, and hitting a baseball is difficult. And the next thing I'm going to say is also a challenge, because I think it's a complete change of mindset and everything. But being disciplined at the plate, being patient. I can't tell you how many series I listen to, and Jason Benetti is like, well, the New York Mets, for example, they are a patient team. They take pitches, they make you work for it, they get on base. And I've heard that about so many other teams, yet to me, it seems kind of easy. To be working on that as a craft in the off season. And like, that's the game plan at Camelback Ranch of, we are going to make the other pitcher work for it. We are not going to beat ourselves in that batter's box. We might not have the most skilled team offensively, but we are going to get on base. We are going to swipe bags, or we're going to put the ball in play, and we are going to make things happen. But it doesn't start until we get on base. And once you get on base, everything changes. A pitcher's mentality changes. They now have to start thinking about you at first base or at second base. It changes the whole dynamic when you're at 2-0 against 1-2 or something like that, or even 1-1.
Yeah.
It's like the game within the game within the game. And like, what can we do here? Like, be that. Be a disciplined team at the plate and be a sound defensive team. Catch the ball. I mean, stuff like that. Can we start there? and then progress?
Yeah, let's guys, this is how you catch a baseball. Put the screens up to hit the ball over the screens, and then let's also play catch. Can you catch a pop fly? Is that possible?
Like mindfulness, like you need to complete this before you complete the next thing. Don't worry about trying to turn to this is what are you doing if the ball is hit to you? I mean, that's Little League 101.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you achieve that.
Yeah.
And then where are you going to back up? And everybody has a role. Everybody moves. Everything, is revolving around like how you respond, to the assignments, because everybody has an assignment. And if you don't feel like you do, give yourself an assignment.
Yeah.
It just seems so basic, and that we're talking about it. And that's what I thought Grifol was going to bring to the table, which is with his managerial staff.
Well, that's hasn't been the case so far. But again, maybe it's the players. Maybe it's just we're just conceding. We conceded a long time ago that this season wasn't going to go very well, and you can't come out and say that to your fan base who are like you, and they were asking for deposits on season tickets. And you've got to kind of mask it a little bit, but I think they knew a long time ago that this team wasn't going to be competitive.
And then just to bring things full circle here, as we wrap up, as a organization, as a marketing or sales, okay, let's do one thing right. Let's get people's pins correct. Let's get them the proper year. Like, let's do that. We might screw up a bunch of other things, but we can at least do this. We've got the numbers and the data on this. Let's do this and make them happy with this. It's little things like
it'll
that.
Take 6 to 8 weeks though. It'll take
we'll
6
get
to 8
it right.
weeks. Could you tell them that, how many years for you, Nick? How many years are you?
I think this is 8. I think this is year 8. I was issued a 4-year pin.
You couldn't just, will they send you another 4 pin?
Just add them together, man. Just add them up.
If they're too high on, they'll send like a subtraction sign and then another pin with the subtraction number and then an equal sign. And then there you go. Then you got a whole Sox math right across your
fixed
chest.
The problem. We've absolutely fixed it for you.
It took us 9 years, but we've got it taken care of for you. Just walk down the street, knock on the damn door. Hey, here's my 4. I need an 8.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, honestly, that's what you just need to do. I mean,
it's not like a Dropbox, like Blockbuster, and just throw it in the Dropbox. And then
someone said on Twitter, I don't remember who it was, but it was great. We all just organize a big get together in like Lot B or something, and just it's just a pin exchange. It's like who needs a 4? I'm looking for an 8, and everyone switches and everyone gets everything right on their own without the organization's help.
I think that would be great. Then everybody writes back and go, "We got it.
We figured it out.
We figured it out."
Go flush your idea. Your 6 to 8 weeks. All right. Well, buddy, always a pleasure. This made me feel a little bit better, I think. Hopefully folks listening, I don't know, it was enjoyable. It still stings a little bit, but still stings.
Don't invest too much of your energy, Nick. I know you have to for lockdown on a daily basis, but just let it go. It's going to be okay. Next year will be here sooner rather than later, and we can be upset at that time.
Excellent.
Wait for next April to be upset again.
Well, it's good to have you back, Pat. And thank you again to Joey Christopoulos, who helped out last Sunday with some White Sox content.
Yeah, Joey, I have to send him a note thanking him for filling in. I'm sure it was a very smooth show by a real professional and not by a boob like me, but I'm happy to be back.
It's good to have you back. Always a pleasure, folks. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. Love the comments. Keep it up. Subscribe and join us on Sunday nights. And the audio available everywhere you find your podcasts. We're on Twitter at Good Guys TV. We've got a Facebook fan page. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.